Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Heights of Courage, the battle for the Golan Heights, October 1973. This is a game designed by Steve Newhouse and published by Multiman Publishing. This is part of the Standard Combat series, and anybody who's not familiar with that is a fairly straightforward and easy system to learn that Dean Essig has designed years ago. And you can jump right in. It's got a pretty small rule set. And each game obviously has also their own exclusive rules that builds upon the base rule set. Good introductory system for wargamers that are getting into Hex and Counter. And it's been around for a long time. And Dean Essig is just a great designer. And he's come up with so many great things for our hobby. And it's great to see this series continuing on. But let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game is all about. In October 1973, Syria and her allies, in conjunction with an Egyptian assault into the Sinai across the Suez Canal, led a surprise attack to recapture the Golan Heights. Heights of Courage is a game covering the Golan Heights portion of this war, one of the largest armored clashes to occur since the end of World War II. For a little over 2 weeks, massed Syrian armor swarmed the thin line of Israelis who were buying time to allow mobilized reserves to arrive. The embattled defenders succeeded, enabling the reinforcements to turn the tide and launch their own offensive towards Damascus. Heights of Courage is the 16th game in the award-winning Standard Combat series. It complements the 1995 CSR award-winning game Yom Kippur, which covers the fighting in the Sinai. It uses the same 8-page Standard Series rulebook applicable to all other games to bring out the action in a beer and pretzel way familiar to all wargamers. Because both sides have offensive and defensive phases of the battle to enjoy, victory is determined by comparing the best Syrian performance in their early offensive to the Israeli offensive results at the end of the game. This forces both the offense and the defense to fight tooth and nail, placing enormous pressure on rapid performance. And the component list, it gives a series rulebook, a game-specific rulebook, full color game map, 280 counters, 4 scenarios, 2 dice, and it is medium complexity and medium solitaire suitability. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. And we get 2d6, an inventory of what comes in the box, the Standard Combat Series rules version 1.7, the game-specific rules, our counter sheet, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It is your standard SCS type map, just what you expect from MMP with the SCS games. And they all share that same type of palette. SCS, GTS, and OCS. Obviously, there are more involved in the other game series because there's more information that has to be placed on the map. Here, pretty much, you're just dealing with your standard terrain features. You've got anti-tank ditch here that goes all the length of the map, and then you've got these green stars, which are the Syrian victory points, and then you have the blue and white stars, which are the Israeli victory points. And then along the left-hand side, you have your phase track, your turn record track, and then your terrain key at the top. And the turn record track will tell you how many air points each side has, as well as the replacements that will be coming in. Over here, you've got the phase track, so you can keep track of the different phases of the game, and then the terrain key just to quickly look at and understand what different pieces of terrain are in the game. Now we'll take a look at the counter sheet that comes with the game. On the left-hand side, we have the Israelis in blue, and we have some admin counters along the bottom. Syrian forces here, and rounding those out, we've got some Moroccan, Jordanian, and Iraqi forces as well. And we'll take a look inside the series rulebook. This is version 1.7. They are up to 1.8 now, so you can actually get that off the MMP website and download that, print it out, so you have the latest and greatest. But it gives you the introduction, how to learn the rules, components, map, how that's all explained for you, setup notes, cumulative effects, and then you get into the meat of the system itself. All about rounding, your sequence of play, your Zocs, all the basic stuff that you're going to use in majority of war games that you're going to play. That's why this is actually a really good introductory step for war gamers that are new, because it'll teach you the basics like Zocs, movements, how to move your units, and then how terrain affects movement, restrictions on your movement, and then your stacking, overrun, combat reinforcements. Everything that you're going to see in all war games that you, pretty much all war games that you play, is going to be taught to you here, all the basics, your step losses, terrain effects. So this is a very good entry point, a pretty basic system, as they say, beer and pretzels. but a lot of fun, and that's the key. And there's so many games in the system that if you like it, you're going to definitely find a topic that fits that you like with this system. And then you have all the way back to page 8, designer's notes. So really only 7 pages of rules. The designer's notes here on the last page don't count against the rules. Easy to pick up and play. And we'll take a look at the exclusive rules for Heights of Courage. These will add on to, or maybe alter in some cases, the series rules. So once you learn the 7 pages of series rules, these rules will just, like I said, add on or alter for this specific game. You have your introduction, scale, then you have the symbols of all of the units in the game and what those match up to, what they mean. Then you have your stacking rules, units, special terrain effects, how Zocs work, you ignore retreats, international borders, all those things that are not necessarily always spelled out in the series rules, or if they are, they may change. Then you have sequence of play, normal or fast tempo sequence, slow tempo sequence here, headquarters supply, subordination lines here, nationality and organization requirements for headquarters supply. Then you have your out of supply effects, Syrian supply phase, artillery and air points, replacements, how those are handled, operational tempo, which we saw just a moment ago, air mobile movement, ceasefire and victory, Israeli special rules, exploitation phases, strong points, and then we have a force Zvika, and then half-track movement, Syrian special rules, 3rd Armored Division commitment, Syrian reserve restrictions, Syrian raiders, and then the scenarios themselves start on page 7. So really only 6 pages of rules. I was off by a couple pages. Has your setup information for the Israelis as well as for the Syrians, and then the historical battle for the Golan Heights, short version, and then Operation Al-Auda. Then you have your Israeli order of arrival, and then designer's notes here on page 14, and then player's notes for the Syrian player as well as for the Israeli player, and then the Israeli order of battle is here on page 15. Then you have your combat table, terrain effects, and the 3rd Armored Division commitment table on the back. So easily print this out separately to have your own CRT, or just flip over to the back of the book when you're playing. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Heights of Courage, a game designed by Steve Newhouse and published by MMP. Another one in the long-running Standard Combat series of games, and like I said before, if you're new to Hex Encounter Wargaming or just curious about it, the Standard Combat series is a good starting point because it's low complexity, it's not super difficult to understand, the 7 pages of rules. There'll be new concepts that you have to grok, because if you're new to war games, you're not going to understand what a Zoc is, things like that. They're very easily spelled out to you, though. These are going to be basics that you're going to build on if you are interested in playing other Hex Encounter games that will help you build out from that foundation that you'll get from this game. Pretty quick playing games, too. A couple hours, you can throw these down on the table and knock them out, like they say, beer and pretzel games. They're always a lot of fun to play, especially if you have an interest in the theater that's covered. And there's a lot of theaters that are covered, and I hope this is a series that continues for many, many years, because these are a lot of fun, these games. And, you know, like I said, a great way to introduce somebody to Hex Encounter war games, and for experienced war gamers, something to knock out in an evening, whether it's solitaire or with a buddy. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.